Hey there, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. Can you hear the birds? I am so fortunate that the weather has been rocking in Chicago for this last week. Thank you, because we need it. There's so much that's happened that we need to catch up on from the last time we chatted. Last time we chatted, I discovered that there is cancer that has moved to my head. Yeah. I think we are moving into the planning phase, to the how do we address this, which is the space that my wife and I live in very comfortably. It's how we move through life, and so that's it's good to be here. We took our time though. Since we last chatted, my wife and I decided to take a deep breath and just allow ourselves to sit in the tremendous sadness that my cancer has spread into other parts of my body. It's weird with cancer, even with stage 4 cancer, they put you in two buckets. One is stable, one is progressive. Stable means, like for myself, when they caught it, it was in my colon, liver, and lungs. In those three spots, they were able to like hold it, right, in those three organs. And so that's considered stable because I'm only slowly dying, right? What it largely means is let's say there's a trial, you read about this trial in California, and it's super exciting science, right? But they're like, you can't do the trial because, well, you're really doing too well. How do we know if you enter this trial if we solved your problem because you're already healthy, right? The other bucket is progression. That's when it has left the original spots where you found it. It's no longer being contained. It's moving throughout your body, and that's really, really scary. And then to have it move to your head is So my wife and I, when we found out this news, when we last chatted, we decided that we were just going to allow ourselves to feel the very scary and sad news of this moving to my head, because we have lived under crisis and duress for 4 fucking years, and it's the strange space that you live in, right? Even though I still have cancer, even though I'm still in treatment, every other week I'm in chemo. I just finished radiation. We were at this space where look at me. I like, when it's not treatment time, when I'm not sick from chemo, I'm doing awesome. This morning, my wife and I were trying to create micro experiences for ourselves, right? To not be thinking about, I have cancer in my brain and it's a very scary time. And I wanted to learn how to ride an electric skateboard. So that's what we've been doing this morning with stage 4 cancer. Just last week, had lung radiation and chemo. But that's how healthy I am, right? And we thought I was doing so well that we were just about to address treat the last bits of cancer in my lungs, and then we were gonna go to Jackson Hole, and I was gonna take a chemo break, and we were gonna spend 2 months pretending that I don't have cancer and making the best fucking summer ever, and recapturing life again, and alas, that disappeared, and we, before pivoting into that, before planning, we wanted to allow ourselves to grieve that and to feel the very valid fear of this moment. And thankfully, we have allowed that. It's been a really intense week and a half where we've been riding a roller coaster of emotions, laughing, crying, all kinds of lovely things, and having lots of doctor's appointments in addition to treatment. Yeah. I have a lot to catch up on. I'm going to give you the good news first. So we know that it has moved to my head, right? And now it's progressing. And the scary part of this right now is that they caught it, we're going to treat it, but we don't know if this is go time. We don't know if this is going to, even with all of this, mean that I'm not here at the end of the summer. You just don't know, because now we've got a baseline and we have to wait 2 months to see if it's grown, right? So there's all that scariness. But meeting with the specialist this week, we were able to breathe a little bit more. And this is just strange to me too. It's like the buckets of stable versus progressive. I have freaking cancer. It's eating me away at all times. I am dying. Whether it's slow or fast, it's still the same thing. Why can't we just treat it like, that? The head. It has moved into my head. The good news is this. It was not made clear to us when I received the original news. We had the understanding that it was on the skull, pushing down into the brain, and there's swelling, and we had thought it had broken through the dura of the brain, and that is not the case. Having talked with all the specialists this week, it's the best situation out of a shitty fucking situation. I do have cancer. It has moved. You can feel it. There's a bump. It's like a calcified little, I'm calling it my broken lopsided unicorn horn. The cancer's on the skull. It's on the bone. It has not broken through the blood barrier of the brain. That's huge. It has not broken through the blood barrier of the brain. If that was the case, then yeah, like my doctor said, we'd be having a very different conversation. I would be telling you, yeah, you're not gonna be here at the end of the summer. However, it's on the skull. It's trying to move laterally inside the skull bone, but again, hasn't pushed through to the brain. So yes, we are moving forward with radiation. They're gonna radiate the bone, the skull. We'll just have to wait and see how that works out. So the good part is it's not near my memory core, so I shouldn't have any memory problems. It is not near my movement, and so I shouldn't have any issues there. Really, hopefully, it's just going to make me tired and maybe a little slow. That's the good news. I also, the greater thing of today that we are dealing with is since it has progressed, since it has moved out of the original areas, it means that the gate is no longer closed. It's no longer being held tight by my chemo. It is opened, and that means that my chemo is no longer working. That's the greater issue, because it has allowed it to spread. I'm on a second line chemo, and I don't know what the next option is. I don't know. That's the scarier thing. I have to find a next step for that, and even more just my I met with my lung specialist, my radiologist, and the guy that does the ablations, where he freezes the cancer on the spot. And unfortunately, with those types of treatment, you have to wait 2 to 5 months to see if they are working, right? Because they need to bake, they need to kill it. I'm starting to get results in from this past year. 30 plus rounds of radiation to the lungs, 3 ablation procedures so far. And it's being resistant to that newfangled science. My very impressive, aggressive cancer is not fucking dying from the treatment. So, so we also need to problem solve that. First step, I'm getting my skull radiated tomorrow. I'm super grateful for my body right now. I'm super grateful for the 4 years of pushing myself to get my strength back, to be able to get my full body back. Because as you know, movement is how I deal with stress and anxiety, and that's happening a lot lately. So, but I'm able to access my body. So I'm walking, riding bike. Today I'm going to spend the whole day grilling and learning how to ride an electric skateboard. Right up until tomorrow. I'm filling my day with activities. So I'm gonna walk in, I'm gonna radiate my head. And then next week, I will be going in for a biopsy, a tissue biopsy of the lungs. We want to see, maybe the cancer has changed. Maybe it's not colon cancer anymore. And if that's the case, it's actually good. Again, all of this is crazy to me, but the best case scenario would be if they tested the tissue in my lungs and they came back and they said, oh my God, this isn't even colon cancer anymore, it's lung cancer, or it's this cancer, because that means there would be more options. Remember, with my crass mutation, it is a little bugger of a fucking cancer. There's no immunotherapy. There's nothing. I'm reliant on old school fucking bullshit chemo and radiation with some new stuff, some new radiation, but so hopefully biopsy next week. We'll see. And in the meantime, I'm continuing to meet with tons of the oncologists from California, the oncologists here. We're just spend the next 2 weeks still game planning. So I still have no idea what for right here right now. It's a beautiful day. The birds are singing. My wife and I are just trying to be right here, right now, right? And we're to break it down so we don't get overwhelmed, right? Don't want to get overwhelmed by the big picture, so break it down, focus on radiation tomorrow. Next week, I go in for that. The silver lining is you can't do chemo at the same time that they radiate your brain because you have seizures and shit. So, no chemo. Just crossing my fingers that I don't fucking have a seizure. Mm-hmm. It's insane the amount of mental gymnastics that you're trying to go through to just be like, what's the best decision so I can stay alive for a little bit longer, right? There's no cure. I just want more todays and tomorrows. And if I focus on that, I'll make it through. I've got some, I'm breaking away from the plant-based diet today. Don't tell my doctors because I'm going a little crazy and I'm making some gochujang skirt steak and some shrimp and some veggies. What else, man? I'm radiating my head tomorrow. Okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. I don't know about that, but it's okay for today. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking in on me. I won't let time go by. We don't have so many appointments. I'll talk to you soon, okay? All right. Thanks.